Every single one of us has an origin story. But before all the memories, the choices, the life experiences, there's a much more fundamental story. It's the biological journey from a simple blueprint of potential to a breathing, crying baby. So, how does that incredible story actually begin? Let's trace that journey, right from the very first instruction to the very first breath.
It's such a simple and charming thought, isn't it? But behind that simple start is, well, one of the most complex and frankly elegant processes in all of nature. Today, we're going to trace that whole journey, from the evolutionary instructions written over thousands of years to that first breath a baby takes in the outside world. To really get how a person starts, we have to zoom way, way out. We're going to begin with the grand architect of all life, evolution. This is the master plan, the deep history that shaped not just our species, but pretty much every living thing on the planet. Charles Darwin, of course, gave us the core concept here, natural selection. The easiest way to think about it is like this. It's a constant, high-stakes competition. Individuals that have traits giving them an edge in their environment, whether it's being better at finding food or faster at avoiding predators, they're the ones who get to survive and pass those successful traits on. Over millions of years, this process is what sculpted us into who we are today. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. Let's go from the massive scale of humanity right down to you. That grand evolutionary history, that master plan for building a person, is meticulously packed away inside trillions of your cells. And get this, from just one of those cells, weighing a mere 1/20 millionth of an ounce, this plan guides the creation of your entire body. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And here it is, the code itself. DNA. This incredible double helix molecule is basically the library of your life. And the books in that library? Those are your genes. These little segments of DNA are the specific instructions for absolutely everything, from building proteins to deciding what color your hair will be. This is the blueprint we all inherit. But here's where things get really interesting. There's a big difference between the blueprint and the final building. Your genotype, that's the complete set of genetic instructions you inherit from your parents. But your phenotype is what we can actually see. Your height, your eye color, the traits you actually express. So your genotype might have the potential for you to be 6 feet tall, but your phenotype, your actual height, that depends on a whole bunch of other things too. And that brings us to one of the most fascinating parts of this whole story. Because that genetic blueprint, it doesn't just operate in a vacuum. Nope, it's in a constant, dynamic dance with the world all around it. This is the classic question, right? The one we've all heard a million times. Are we who we are because of our genes, our nature, or is it all about our experiences, our nurture? Well, the modern answer is yes. It's not one or the other, it's both, and they are deeply, deeply connected. It turns out our genes can actually shape our environment in 3 really cool ways. First, there's the passive correlation. So think about it. Parents who love to read not only pass on genes that might be related to that, but they also fill the house with books. Second is evocative. A naturally happy, smiley baby is going to get more smiles and social interaction back from adults. Their genes evoke a certain response. And third is active, or what's sometimes called niche picking. We actually go out and seek environments that fit to our nature, like a really outgoing person joining the drama club. And this all leads us to what scientists now call the epigenetic view. It's a two-way street. It's not just that our genes influence our world. Crucially, our environment, things like nutrition, stress, our experiences, can actually affect how our genes get expressed. It's like having a set of light switches. Your experiences can literally flip certain genes on or off, changing how that original blueprint gets read. It's amazing. Okay, with that foundation in place, let's get to the main event. We're diving into the incredible 9-month construction project that builds a complete human being from a single fertilized egg. This whole journey really unfolds in 3 acts. First up, the germinal period. That's the first 2 weeks, just a flurry of cell division as the zygote attaches to the uterine wall. Then comes the really critical embryonic period from week 2 to week 8. This is when the life support systems form and, this is key, organogenesis, the actual formation of organs, begins. The rest of the time, all the way to birth, is the fetal period, and that's all about dramatic growth and refinement. But, any delicate construction project is also vulnerable. And that's where the idea of a teratogen comes in. A teratogen is basically anything that can disrupt this development.
And this includes a really wide range of things, from drugs and alcohol to environmental pollutants, and even things like intense maternal stress. And you can see right here that timing is everything. The risk of major structural problems is highest during that early embryonic period, from week 3 to 8. So why then? Well, because that's when the fundamental structures, the heart, the brain, the central nervous system, are first being laid down. Exposure later is still harmful for sure, but it's more likely to affect things like growth or organ function, not the basic structure itself.
So after 9 months of this mind-blowing development, the final chapter of our origin story begins. It is time for the journey into the outside world, and that momentous very first breath. The process of birth itself pretty much happens in 3 distinct stages. Stage 1 is the longest. That's when contractions are working to open the cervix. Stage 2 is the part we all think of, the actual delivery, when the baby makes its way out. And stage 3, the afterbirth, is the final, pretty quick delivery of the placenta. And almost immediately after being born, a newborn gets their very first test. It's called the APGAR scale. At 1 minute, and then again at 5 minutes, doctors check 5 key things: heart rate, breathing, muscle tone, body color, and reflexes. A score of 7 to 10 is a really great sign that the baby is handling the big transition to the outside world just fine.
But let's be real, that transition to the outside world is huge for the mother too, and we need to talk about that. The postpartum period brings enormous changes, and it is incredibly common to experience what's known as the postpartum blues. We're talking about 70% of new mothers. They might feel depressed, anxious, or just upset. But these feelings are usually temporary, lasting maybe a week or 2.
But for a significant number of women, it's something more serious. Somewhere between 10 and 14% experience postpartum depression, which is a major depressive episode. It involves intense sadness and despair, and unlike the blues, this condition is persistent and it absolutely requires support and treatment.
I think this quote from pediatrician James Tanner just perfectly captures our entire journey today. It's so simple, but so profound. We are handed a biological blueprint. That's our DNA. That's the starting point, the raw material. But everything else, every single skill, every thought, every little bit of who we become, that is developed through that constant, lifelong dance between our genes and our world. The 9 months in the womb and that moment of birth, that's the prologue and the first chapter of an incredible story. But it's only the beginning, right? The rest of the book, our health, our personality, our life, is a story that we, along with our environment, continue to write every single day. So the question is, what will we write in the next chapter?